Hello and welcome to Stack Exposed. My name is Torstein Gustavsen and I'm here today with Konsta from Sanna. He's the Chief Design Officer. Hello.
Yes. Hi, Torstein.
So,
Great to be here.
yeah, thanks for coming. It's awesome. So, my question to you was if you wanted to join this podcast and talk a little bit about your company and what you do. So, yeah, shoot.
Yeah, perfect. So as you said, I'm coming from Sanna. This is the company that a few of us started in October last year with a very simple idea in mind. We don't really like doing accounting, and I assume it's quite a pain for many people. And it's not a secret that AI is on the rise, and it is becoming more and more capable of doing things like accounting. And we just decided, hey, why not to give it a shot and try to build something for accounting by using AI. And yeah, this is what we're trying to do with the small remark that we're not trying to replace accounting, right? We are authorized accounting firm by Norwegian government. So we have accountants employed, authorized accountants by Norwegian government. But what we want to do, there are so many things that can be simplified, both for accountants and customers, that AI is more or less capable of doing these things. And yeah, this is what we want to do. We have a joke inside that to simplify things, Instagram and TikTok, they use time they want you to force to spend as much time as they can. But we want to do the opposite. We want to force you to spend as less time as possible with your accounting, because we all know you probably have more things to do with your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Not accounting. So, cool.
Yeah, right.
So you just started in October, which is, so you started your own company. How many were there in the startup?
It was 6 of us. It was me, a developer, a couple of product people, and accountant. And we grew quite a lot. I think we are 15, 16 people right now, including
Yeah, that was my
accountants.
next question. How many are you now? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. We grew quite a lot. We have extremely great sales team. We have awesome accounting team. And then we have, in my opinion, one of the best product teams I've ever worked with, at least. So it's, great people. 15 people is not that much, but it's like 3x growth since October. So it's quite a lot.
That's really cool. Yeah. So, but then, you sit down 6 people together. How do you decide on the stack? How do you decide which communication tool that you should start building with, I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think that we had like a discussion. Let's talk about what kind of tools we want to use. I think it's not like we've started. It's not like it was our first day in the development and design, right? So all of us, we came from different places and we've tried a lot of tools throughout the years in big companies and small companies. So it was quite clear what can fly and what will not fly. And I guess I think we're lucky enough that it happened very natural for us, that we just naturally, organically decided, okay, we're going to use these tools and we're not going to touch these tools. So it's.
So let's just go down the first a quick overview and then down the rabbit hole afterwards. So in communication today, you use.
So we use, I guess, Slack, if you're referring to this, which is quite common.
Many ways to communicate, of course, but yeah, I meant like a chat tool, sort of, because it seems all companies use that nowadays. In some
What do you
form.
mean? What do you mean by
a chat, like Teams or Slack or Discord or somebody? Every company uses some type of chat tool.
Yeah. So for us, it's Slack, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever talked about using Teams. Or at least some of us were a bit traumatized by Teams, especially coming from big companies, which I'm pretty sure is a great tool when you have a few hundred people. And it's actually the idea behind it. It's like, okay, you have Teams, you have everything under one umbrella, all the Microsoft tools. So I think if you're big enough, it's a great tool. But for us, again, Slack is something that we associate with small teams, startups. So it kind of was a no-brainer for us when we went with Slack. And I'm not very familiar with how teams are doing this, but at least Slack, they invest a lot in these connectors and integrators, right? So in the ideal world, you have a few tools, but you don't really need to use these tools, right? Because you can set up all different integrations and have communication through Slack and receive notifications. And especially with AI, you can even, send some commands back to these tools through Slack. So it's a quite powerful tool. It's like one-stop shop, basically, in many cases.
Yeah. So your project management tool, what is that?
We use Linear for tracking tasks and projects and all the cool stuff that you can do there. Again, I think what we decided to do is to not to use Jira, because I think it's just happened that all of us used Jira before, and tools like Trello, and I don't know if you've heard about it, but and it's kind of like, okay, we're starting, clean state, let's just give it a try, Linear. And Linear was, I think, one of the best investments when it comes to tools that we've made, because
What made it a good investment? What made that such a good investment, sort of like what?
I think, again, the way how Linear works, I mean, first of all, I'm a big believer in it. Doesn't matter what you do, it's what are the people behind the tool that is being built. And for me, at least, right, coming from the design perspective, Linear was founded by a designer who used to be a principal designer in Airbnb, and then he worked in Stripe. So the design thinking, the user-centric thinking that he brought to Linear, you can just feel it right away, right? It's not something that you can sense right away from Jira. And when it comes to investments, right, it's there are some similarities between Slack. You can set up so many integrations with Linear, right? And it works like seamlessly. Like one of the basic examples, we have a Linear bot that we have integrated in Slack, and we have pretty good setup when it comes to communication and like, oh, there are some feature requests or bug report. And what you can do in Slack, right? We opening a thread, we tag Linear, and then say, create a task, move it to this cycle, assign it on me, etc., etc. So it's it sounds such a simple thing, but it saves so much time throughout the years. Yeah. It's insane.
So now you just mentioned that your communication tool like Slack is connected with Linear, but do you know anything about like the CRM and stuff? Is that also connected to your project management tool? Or
yeah. So we use HubSpot, which maybe not the best tool out there, but the reason why we decided to go with it is so just to make it clear, I think a lot of CRMs that are out there, because we were seriously considering, okay, should we go with HubSpot or should we go with Clay? It's a new tool that is like heavily being promoted in US, for example, right? The reason why we went with it, we needed to start super fast, and people who joined us, they already were familiar with HubSpot. So it's kind of like, okay, let's just go see how it flies. If it's not going to work, we can always switch. That's the mentality that we have across all the tools. Every tool that we use, we're not locking ourselves within this tool. So we have some flexibility. If tomorrow we will decide to go to somewhere else, we will do it. And with HubSpot, so far it worked great. We have integrations with Slack. So yeah, you can see if there is a new entry was created, or some other cool stuff that our sales set up, which is, again, back to the thing, you don't have to, because CRM UI and the whole experience can be quite difficult to learn. And for me, at least, when I want to just quickly look up something, I don't have to go to the UI, right, and do all the filtering and stuff. I can just prompt it through Slack. And on its own, this integration is great, but we add some sauce on top in the form of OpenClaw. Okay, so cool. What we have again, Slack integration that is being basically, it's an OpenClaw. We gave it a name Al Pacino, It's like a real bot. And the cool thing about it is, so we have a couple of Mac Minis running, right? Because it seemed like a trend back then. And what Al or AI is insanely great at, you can say, hey, look into HubSpot, look into Linear, look in 10 different other places and give me some insights. So instead of prompting each tool individually, you can make a bulk prompt through AI. And it's great because it can summarize it. It can give you like really like informative summary of the things that you need to know, which saves, again, it might sound not as cool when I describe it, but it saves so much time and saves not even the time, but the mental capacity that
Yeah,
you leave.
I think it's a nice way to explain how you use AI in a good way, because normally what I hear, as I've said it before in another podcast, is that what I hear is people saying that they get a meeting summary. And that's how they use AI. And here it's you're actually using it in a better way to save you time. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, how has the last year, when you started October, but even from then, have you changed because of AI, the setup a lot?
I think we changed a lot. It's almost unrecognizable the way how we used to work 1 year ago before we started Sanna, and even like 6 months ago when we just started. I think one of the key things, the mindset wise, is everyone now kind of see themselves as an engineer. So it's not that intimidating anymore to go and set up a new skill and connect it and integrate it in OpenClaw, set up a few connectors and do this orchestration level, because you don't have to know syntax anymore, right? You can just prompt it with the natural language. And I think it's been a lot because all of our accountants are using AI. That's by given, right? Because the thing that we're trying to do, but also salespeople, the way how they organize it and the way how AI, the beautiful things about Norway, right, and the Nordics in general is the information is very much open. So, for example, when there is a registry of all the companies that are being registered in Norway, right, and it's like thousands of new companies that are being opened every day, and going and listing them manually is, I don't know how much time it will take, and it happens every day. But AI, it doesn't care about like working at night, or so you can prompt these things like, hey, give me a list of high converted prospects in the form of companies that were opened throughout the last week. Saves you hours.
Yeah. So how do you, as you said, accountants is not that known of being that tech savvy, to be honest. But you said everybody's using that, and now everybody's an engineer. So how do
Yes.
you have some type of a system or like a policy in place to try to encourage everybody to, or how does that work in your? Do you have sort of rule set? How's it work in your organization?
we I think the important thing, accountants, but every other function, at least from my head, I think the way how it used to be, it was very scary to go and open a terminal and learn what IDE is and, that kind of stuff. It looked very hacky and, very complicated. Now, the way how tools are being presented, right, it's much more human. And it took us a while, right? And it's not only accountants, but like everyone, right? It took a while for everyone to understand and believe that, hey, it's not that scary anymore, and you can go and try things. But I think the best thing that we've done is, one thing is you can believe that you can go and do it, but also knowing that you will not break things and you will not push something and then all of a sudden the prod is down in 2 minutes, right? Having rules and tests and basically guide rails on top that are very clearly communicated for everyone, and everyone understands like, okay, whatever I'm going to do is not going to break it, because there is a checks in place and systems and code review and everything is in. It's like kind of conveyor belt, right? The Japanese method, right? Everyone checks what was done in the previous step, right? So as soon as these two things were not only understood but like accepted, everyone like, okay, it's a very freeing feeling, like, oh, I can go and do stuff and there is not much consequences if I'm going to fail.
But do you have I guess you have a CTO.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like, did you and him and like the top orchestrate a little bit like how he will try to do it, or more organically? How did that work?
We have everything. All the rules are stored in the code repo, right? And I mean, it's very much straightforward with the development, right? Okay, don't do this. Use this test. Use this unit test, etc., etc. But you can apply the same logic for design and accounting, right? Because for me, for example, it becoming more and more, I'm not the one who is doing design all the time, right? Because what I did, I set up skills and various MD files. So when people need to do something, it's gonna pass user experience checks, UI tests. It will pass all the different tests. So whatever the outcome will be, it's not gonna be bad, right? And in the end, it's me who reviewing the result. And same thing with accounting, right? There are rules, and they are much more complex at the first glance, but they're not that complex. It's probably just more rules, maybe, but you can describe them. It's just we never had the goal like, hey, let's sit down and describe all of these rules in one go. It's a living organism, right? You always remove something, you add something, you merge something, you split something. So it's always it's a process. And accountants themselves, they contribute to these skills and tests. So our CTO likes to say that your job is to enable everyone rather than do the tasks anymore. And I very much agree with that thing, because you need to enable people to do accounting or design or development or whatever. And then you are the one who's responsible for certain function, right? So it's up to you to review and provide the good tests, etc., etc. So it's a quite interesting and different mindset, but it is scary a bit, especially at the start. But the gains are much better.
Yeah, I feel that like now in the SaaS universe, it was more like square boxes. You bought this, but with AI
Yeah.
now and the automations, it's more fluid. So, how do you think it will develop in the next 12 months for your company and yourself?
I think it's gonna be less and less about. I like to think about there are two ways of doing tasks. There are micro tasks and macro tasks. And micro task is like, hey, go and fix this bug, or go and tweak this button, or go and tweak this account when coming to accounting, right? And I think the ratio between doing micro tasks and macro tasks, so defining the systems, making sure that's a living organism, is going to be it's going to change a lot. So people will lean towards macro tasks. So it's going to be less about manually doing accounting in Excel, right? Which probably going to be at some cases in the form of fine tuning, but it's going to be more and more like how we can organize the system in a way that it's going to be self-sufficient and will be capable of doing this thing without human being involved a lot. It should be involved, but when it's like, the uncertainty level is quite low, but when when the AI is quite sure that, hey, this is the things that needs to be done in this way, it should just go and do it.
Yeah.
So I
So
think that's going to be the shift.
I think that's a really interesting perspective. Um, it's the development is going so fast that it's impossible, I feel, to
Yes,
keep
yes,
track of
yes,
everything. So you mentioned
exactly.
linear was maybe the best investment, sort of, but what do you think is the smartest choice of tool or thing that you've done since you started?
I think I guess the only answer right now is AI. If we see it as a tool, that was the best investment so far.
Credits at your
hmm?
office? Do you count tokens or credits at the office?
We did, and then we discovered Claude Max plans, the one that you pay $200, and then you stopped counting because it's basically infinite. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, if you have systems in place that gives the initial context and navigates the AI, so it's not wandering around burning tokens along the way, it's great. And the way how there is a saying, you probably heard about it, like context is the king. And the thing that you mentioned a few minutes ago, right? Some people are using AI for note taking. I do it as well. I use Granola, for example, right? But the cool thing about Granola, and I'm pretty sure Notion and the Google Meet also has this, they have MCPs, right? And when I have 25 MCPs running at the same time. And when, for example, I do, let's take an example. I need to implement a certain feature, right? Okay, we probably talked about it. There are nodes. There is a history of tasks that we tracked in linear. There are accounting data. So when I prompt Claude, right, in Conductor, I have, hey, pull these meeting notes from Granola, study the history of tasks that we had in linear, right? Pull the accounting context, pull all the things, and let's just brainstorm. Let's see what can be done here. And it's such a great boost when it comes. So you don't start with the blank state anymore. Because it's, for me, it was like, or for many people, it's like, okay, but where should I start? Should I try this or should I try that? There are first steps were already done. So you just continue. And it's mentally, it's much easier to get going. So you don't see it and procrastinate and like, oh, should I do this move or that move? It's like you're already going, you're in the moment. So that's pretty cool.
We should explain MCPs for the listener.
MCP is a model context protocol. You can think about it as an API. It's basically, if you have a few apps running, you can pull the data from many apps like Linear or Granola or, I don't know, Strava, for example. They also have MCPs. And you have all the data in one place. And now you can brew a soup out of this data, out of all of these ingredients, right? So it's quite great.
The last question was if you ever tried to measure the output of what AI gave you?
You mean in terms of how much time it saves, or
in terms of time/money? Did you measure that? Or?
We never measure it in terms of we never sat with a timer and measured how faster you are. But I think the fact that, as I said, right, so we started in October, we launched in November, 1 month of building things that gave us enough confidence that, hey, we are more or less comfortable with launching, right? It's really hard to imagine doing this pre-AI, right? Okay, you might fool yourself a bit, but there's no harm in giving you a bit of extra confidence, like, hey, yeah, maybe it's never going to be ready, right? It's like, but it's like you feeling like, yeah, it's ready enough to be exposed to the big world, right? And I think the fact that, so we have 1,600 customers right now, and the fact that we have one designer, 2 developers, and 1 PM, and 1 person experimenting with AI. So it's basically 5 people when it comes to product. If you think about it, it's really hard to imagine having 5 people doing everything 5 years ago, right? So it's there's definitely a boost in terms of how many things you can do. I'm not quite sure how it works when you have 200 people or something. I don't know. I've seen these things on X, right? When people seeing the deals from Anthropic and they have 200 people, and people realize, well, developers are actually less expensive than AI. I think it depends on the scale. If you have a few hundred developers burning tokens 24/7, okay, that's a different thing. But when you have a small and lean team, that's a different conversation.
So since the beginning, what in terms of software tools mistakes have you done?
I think I wouldn't call it the mistakes, right? But there were some things that we abandoned, right? So for example, we've started using from the start. We were using Cursor, right? And it's you can pick, is it the OpenAI model, Anthropic model, or their own models, right? And the result they were giving, it's so insane. It's like there is no consistency, nothing. And that led us to some questionable decisions, right? And then I think around December or something, right? Anthropic was I think 4.6 was released back then, or Anthropic became very powerful. So it became clear, okay, we don't have to use any other models. We just can use the Anthropic models, right? Opus. And then we build up the system around it. But before, we were trying to make it work for Codex and Opus and for Composer and for everything, right? And if you look into the code structure, you have Claude agents, Codex agents. So now you have to maintain two set of things, and we were experimenting. I think we were lucky enough. We didn't make any costly mistakes. So yeah, it's not like we've spent a lot of money and then realized, oh, it's not the right tool for us to use.
Do you have any, you're not the CFO, but do you have a software cost per employee number?
I don't have it in my head, but we use Cardboard, the also Norwegian startup, for doing these subscriptions and making the whole accounting much easier. Yeah, great guys. So every employee, they have a virtual card per subscription, so you can track what kind of tools they use. But it's never obviously there is an overlap. Okay, more or less everyone is using Anthropic, right? The Anthropic models, but not everyone is using HubSpot, right? Because and HubSpot is kind of costly. In terms of, I think we more or less spend the same, but it's just different tools. How much? I mean, I can come back to this to you, but
it's just fun if you would guess. That's okay.
I don't know. I really don't know.
No. So I think it was so nice talking to you. It was cool to see how you made some of the choices, and as you said, some of them just appeared because you worked earlier, and that's also a nice insight.
Yeah, I think it helps. It's not like you've been born yesterday. You've heard things, you talked with people, you know what can work and what not gonna work.
But it's interesting, why somebody use, as you said, why did you not use Clay? Why did you use HubSpot instead? And sometimes the decision is actually more, if I'm interpreting you correctly, it's a little bit more like chance than rather a really, really big decision taking.
Yeah,
on that.
Absolutely. It's just, hey, it looks fine. Let's start, and we can always come back. It's not it's very much reversible.
Yeah. So I think as well, I'm not sure if you agree, but you can tell me, before I felt that people thought it was a really big job to move from one software to another. And now it might not be that hard, or what do you feel?
So if the system is designed that you can migrate data, it's not that hard, because I think we had a few instances when we were, I don't remember the tool, but we had some documentation, and at some point, okay, we want to use Notion for all of that stuff. Again, we prompt OpenClaw to move all the data from one tool to Notion. Yeah. So it wasn't like a big thing. It asked a few questions, how they want to structure it, etc., etc. But there are some tools, don't have any examples in mind, that by design making data locked in, and it's really hard to get it out. That's a design choice. That's a business choice that companies are doing. So that can be a problem. That's actually a good thing to probably, before picking a tool, and if you think oh, that's probably going to be a tool that will remain with us for X amount of years, just look it up or ask Claude or ChatGPT how easy it's going to be migrate data from this tool to another if something will go wrong, right? They probably have it in some terms of conditions or somewhere written in a small font, but it's very much accessible information. Or have a call with, sales department or something, customer support. So that's probably something that you should do before.
A bit of research. So my internet is messing up a little bit here. So I just have one last question before I let you go. Yeah. So did you start with OpenClaw from the beginning, or was that something? Okay.
It wasn't the thing back then. I think it picked up in December, January, and everyone was going crazy, and it felt like let's give it a try, because we're just trying to stay on the edge when it comes to trying new things, right? It's just way of educating yourself what's out there, just trying new things, spend 5 minutes, see what's there. We just gave it a try. We bought one. It was very cool. It was a bit of a moment when we're like, okay, it works, but it's not like there is a manual. Oh, these are 10 things that you can do. And people were doing crazy stuff, like trading on autopilot, and okay, it's not really relevant for us, or how we can apply it. So it took us maybe a few weeks to slowly get into this, okay, we use it every day, and now everyone is using it, etc., etc. And then we bought another one. So everyone should be comfortable with the ideas. Like, it's not going to take an hour or a day to all of a sudden change the way you work. It's going to be a process, and you can only notice it. You can only notice the benefit if you look back and you're like, oh, okay, so these 2 weeks were actually very productive. There's a huge gap in the way how I work. But if you look like 1 day back or 2 days back, you might not notice this benefit that you've gained. So just, trust the process, I would say.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Konsta, for coming. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thanks. Likewise.
Talk later.
Yeah, talk later. See ya. Bye.